Well, thank you guys for jumping on with me today here. And the webinar will be going over the kind of the 2022 SEO formula for auto repair shop owners and kind of seeing what has changed within Google's algorithm, how you can help apply some of these elements to your websites, your online presence to help you ranking better organically, and really finding out if ranking organically is still important and what that even means. And so as we go into this today, and so just to start off, I'd like to show kind of our digital dominance method in terms of all the elements that you want to have honed down and in place for your auto repair shop. And so some of these elements will be SEO, pay-per-click, social media, reputation management, website, texting, and loyalty. What we'll be focused on today will be primarily SEO. We'll dabble in some of the comments with some of the other elements, but primarily today we'll be focusing all on SEO and how to improve that. So just a quick tidbit on attention. So if you can, please turn off your cell phones. This webinar will be around an hour long, and so not too much of your time. So hopefully, if you can turn off your cell phones and help that avoid being a distraction. Facebook, I know those things are hard to stray away from, but yeah, if you can turn off your Facebook. Then and just give me kind of your attention here for the next 60 minutes. I promise that this will be of value to you, and then you'll be able to take back to your shop and potentially help start implementing some of these key things. And so what we will cover today. So we'll be going over the latest updates with the Google algorithm, kind of what that means in terms of how to properly rank in Google. Things that you may have put in place in the past that could be potentially hurting you right now. And so we want to make sure that we go over those things to make sure you can stop doing them and improving your presence that way. How to optimize your website using this new formula, because again, SEO applies to both on-site and off-site elements, which we'll be getting into today. And so just making sure you understand that purpose, and brand new testing we've done that you can boost your rank overnight. So yeah, this a new thing that we tested with some of our shops that we help manage, and kind of the feedback that we got there, right? And so kind of the big overhanging question is, does SEO still matter? SEO, for those of you that don't know, is search engine optimization. So does it still matter? And so here, I mean, this is kind of what we're seeing nowadays, that when you type in Google, you'll see the Google ad section, you'll see the map, and then below it, you'll see the organic search rating. And so just to give you an idea here. So just really quickly, one of the shops that we help run is Denny's Auto, as you saw there. And so here we're able to see that they're ranking at the top of the map. But does that matter for those of you that are curious with a yes or no? Do you think it makes a difference by being ranked in the one, or being ranked in this top three versus not being ranked in the top three? If you can just throw in a yes or no in the comments, that will help me understand kind of where we're at with some people. And thank you for those that did jump on. Perfect. Okay, we got some yeses. Great. Yeah. So yeah, it definitely does make a big impact by being able to rank in that one slot of the maps. And so by being ranked well, so typically what we'll see in the layout is a lot. There's been a big focus on ad spend versus the map versus the organic search rating. And so what really matters? And so organic search rating consists of the map and the websites that are ranked below it. And so approximately about 71% of the clicks go to the organic search area. So I know right now this search didn't have ads just because I searched in Riverton, Utah, and I'm not there right now. And so that's why I know ads that are particularly related to me are appearing. But typically you'll see, yeah, there's going to be a few ads that appear on the top here that are related to different, that certain area. But that only gets about 30% of the clicks. Granted, it is at the top, but yeah, it kind of still shows the importance of being ranking well organically. And 67% of those clicks come from the first 5 listings. So being in the top 3, along with being in the top 2 websites of Google. So kind of, as you can see, there's a really big impact in terms of just ranking well organically. There's kind of, if you didn't even want to spend any money on ads, there's definitely a route there that you can still get plenty of organic traffic, people calling you, finding more out about you. Okay, so yeah, so the basic conclusion there is yes, SEO still definitely matters, but you can't rely on organic rankings alone. There's certain elements, obviously, and certain things that you need to do to get to that point where you can rank up in the top portion of the maps along with the organic search rating. So I'll be going over now the 5 biggest changes that we've seen recently that hopefully will be of great value to you, and we'll dig in deeper here as we go. But the first one is listing every single service provided in your what used to be called Google My Business, now Google Business Profile, or GBP, could be hurting you. There's a lot of people that have a ton of services listed on there, but we're going into a little bit of what those should be to help optimize your Google Business Profile. Second is low quality links pointing back to your website. So backlinks and citations, those sort of links are very important, but there are some that are just very low quality. There's certain ways that you can purchase very, very cheap links, and you want to avoid doing some of those tactics because it can be hurting you in the long run, because Google's algorithm can start seeing that as sort of spammy. GMB posts need to include relevant services. So within your Google Business Profile, you're able to make certain posts. If you're not doing that, I highly recommend it. Google loves it when you use their product. And so, but within those postings, you want to make sure that you're displaying relevant services to what your shop does and things that you want coming into the shop, which we'll go into as well. Number 4, site speed absolutely matters. I know there's debates going around of if that really does make a difference. I promise you, it absolutely does make a difference. And so we'll be going into how we can go into improving that site speed. And then number 5, your website has to be mobile friendly. I think that goes without saying now this day and age, like everyone has their phone pretty much within arm's reach. And so a strong percentage of the people coming to your website are going to be coming through their phone. So you want to make sure that your website is optimized for being mobile friendly. So number 1, so listing every single service you provide in your GBP could be hurting you. So most auto repair shops will list every single service they provide, and they can get very, very granular and a lot of different terms that a lot of people just don't normally type in Google. And within Google's algorithm, it wants to be able to provide the best information for someone searching it. And so you do not want to put brake repair and brake replacement and these just very, very fine-tuned details of services. You want to just list the service holistically of what someone would typically type in. So you want to make sure that you know the most relevant keyword and have it on there once. You don't want to have, I've seen where people put oil change and oil changes as a plural, just so that way they can get as many keywords in there as possible. You want to really avoid that, because then Google will start getting confused on having so many things on your website or in your Google Business Profile and then not being able to rank you properly for any of them. So I will take a look at the services that you have listed in there, because really you can just keep listing them. It just keeps allowing you, it has like a custom field. You can just keep typing them in over and over and over, but strongly suggest straying away from that. So again, like I mentioned, you want to use the commonplace. They used to use commonplace, and it seems relatively harmless, but it absolutely can affect your ranking. And that's the thing really with overnight, where we are able to adjust certain services and just put, instead of maybe having 80 services listed, you knock it down to 20 that are just the common ones that are spoken for. And overnight, you'll see views and visits to your Google Business Profile go up, because now Google is having a proper understanding of how it should read and understand your business as it relates to how you've placed it in Google. And so, yeah, like I mentioned, through our testing, limiting the number of services you list in your GBP can help you rank higher overnight. It's a super small change and edit. So after this webinar, I would recommend going into your Google Business Profile, making sure that first off, you have access to it, not someone else that has ownership of it. You want to make sure you have access to this, because it is going to be kind of your saving grace in terms of how it relates to your business in Google. And then checking out the list of services in the section that they have in there, and making sure that is all optimized and looks right. The rule of thumb I say is probably go for no more than 20 that are listed there. If you're able to even narrow it down even more specifically than that, if say you're more of a niche transmission shop, so then you have just transmission types of keywords there. You do not want to throw in extra keywords just to throw in extra keywords, and that way Google strictly understands what you do. So then this will all help you stay relevant in Google's eyes. It doesn't look like you're trying to do too much. You're just keeping it simple, and that really helps with Google. All right, number 2, too many irrelevant, low quality links pointed back to your website could actually hurt you. And so they're back back in the day, people were just like, yeah, just get as many as you can, as many links that points back to your website, and you'll rank better. And in the old way of Google's algorithm, that used to work, because it was just like, okay, it just would register how many links are pointing back to your website. But now that is not the case. It wants relevancy and wants quality links pointing back to you, that then is useful for Google to understand that, okay, there are relevant companies speaking about them on their websites and referring them. And now that's why we should be ranking them more, not just because they have a random link from a website that's based in the Philippines that has nothing to do with what auto repair is talking about. And so that's what we want to make sure that you're taking a look at the links that are pointing back to your website and making sure that is all clean. So you're gonna have to review your link profile. You can find this through Google Search Console, where it has just literally links, and then it drops down and shows you all the different links and how to refer back to your website. There's different other platforms that we use, like Ahrefs or SEMrush, things like that, where you'll be able to look up as well the different links that are pointing to your website, and then making sure when there is a bad one that you go ahead and remove and disavow that within Google, so to make sure that link just stops pointing back to you. Because again, if you make it stop, then it won't hurt you. And then you want to also work to diversify your anchor text and build more high quality relevant links. So anchor text, for those of you that don't know, it's the words that are actually clickable on whatever it may be. So say on a website you have an article that's written about you, and instead of it being your business name, whether it be John's Auto Service, and that being the clickable one, you want it to say maybe something more related to a service that you offer. So say brake repair in Austin, Texas. And then so that would be the clickable link as the anchor text. And so that way now, when someone types in brake repair in Austin as the keyword, now that you have a link powering that to your website, Google sees it as more relevant, and then you start ranking better for some of those more specific service related ones for your business, and not just your business name. Now, granted, we want your branding to be strong, but those links will happen naturally, because those are what you put in different directories and things. And so the ones that are harder to get are when you change it to the anchor text to be certain keywords. So those are certain things you want to look at, and will really help boost some power. And so 3, so GMB posts need to include relevant services. And so for those of you that don't know, I mean, if you go into your Google business profile, there is a place where you can make postings. Now, if you go and search for those, it's kind of tricky to find where the postings are for like anyone that does any post on a Google business profile. But at the end of the day, Google loves when you use their product. And so you absolutely need to make sure that you're making posts. Usually our rule of thumb is making at least 1 per week. And that will be plenty within Google's eyes, and probably be much more than your competition is doing in the area. And so just making sure that you are creating them is big, but then on top of that, you want to make sure that it has relevant services. And so as you may have known, Google Maps has changed a lot just within the last year. They've changed how they've done the layout. They've changed how kind of the number of businesses that are listed. And so staying on top of those things are really, really important. And so the post, what we recommend is usually always just focusing on certain services that maybe are your highest profit margins, whether it be maintenance or brake repairs, things like that. Or if maybe you had some individuals go to training for a certain type of service, and then now you want to make a post about how your team went on a training, and then that way you're throwing in some of those service related keywords naturally in a post. And then when anyone is searching that, now Google sees that your relevancy is definitely there. And so, for example, though, if you focus on, if you're a transmission shop, you should not have any posts that are not about transmissions. There should not be tire replacements, should not be oil changes, just because you're trying to grab more audience capture, because Google will not give you proper credit for it. So if you're in transmissions, you want to focus your post strictly on that. Or again, like I mentioned, any higher profit related services, those are ones that you would also want to focus on. And then same goes for if you are just a European car shop, for example. You want to make sure your posts are just focused on European cars. You don't want to include extra different cars just because they're fancy too. You do not want to also include those in your posts. You want to make sure everything is very siloed to exactly what you're trying to accomplish within Google, and it will read that and pick it up. So anything extra will just cause confusion, especially if you don't have any of that on your website as well. And then overall, it'll just make everything not rank relevantly. And because now it just doesn't think you're presenting the best option for someone that's searching for this type of service. Yeah, so the same thing with mainly working on base, you want to make a post about something else. So this is based on kind of the information and the testing that we've done. We've seen the GMB signals by correlation to rank of how it truly affects how you're performing in the maps. And so the highest one is related to the optimized Google postings, about close to 30%. And then the next one is going to be reviews with keywords. And so it helps when the customer is reviewing with keywords, but even if the customer does not leave a review with keywords, you can reply back with keywords in there as well. So making sure you don't take the shortcut and just say, thank you for leaving a review, or something very basic like that. Just dig in a little bit deeper and respond in what vehicle they brought in, what service they came in for. And even if that name doesn't quite tie to a name that came into the shop, maybe just generally put, thank you for coming to our auto repair shop in XYZ city. Like that way you can just naturally have some of those big keywords just naturally flowing in reviews that Google will easily pick up what you're doing there. Then the 22% comes from calls from your Google My Business. So the more often that you're seen and you're called, Google sees it as relevant. And so that's kind of the big majority there. Other easy things are going to be your photos, just making sure you're uploading those as many as possible. Citations are a big thing. And EXIF data, that's a little bit more technical in terms of how you're saving certain images, things like that. But it is a big factor, and all these things are in terms of ranking well in your Google Business Profile. And number 4, we're going to look at site speed. And so people may be wondering, so within Google's algorithm itself, it does not determine, yes, because it's the fastest site, it will rank you the best. But by having a really fast site, it allows you a better user experience, because if the site loads fast, people stay on the website and they start scrolling through it. But for example, I don't know if any of you have gone on your phone, you go to a website and it's not loading properly. I just leave. I just go to a different website that will help me, because that one's not giving me the information I want right away. And so Google sees that if your website has a very high bounce rate, then it's not going to rank you high, because it doesn't want to give that information to customers. So that way they don't go back and use Google. They want them to use Google's product over and over. And so the way to do that is give customers the best information. And so by doing that, you can go to, Google has what's called page speed insights. So you can just type that into Google, and it's their platform that Google uses to judge site speed. You can do it both for mobile and desktop. And so here you're seeing one of our shops, their desktop version is at a 98, which is very high. And so that's what you want to make sure that you focus on, just optimizing page speed. That just comes down to the way images are placed on the website and other factors that just make sure it's very easy for the website to load for really anyone that's logging on. But more importantly, you want to make sure that's loaded really well for mobile. So again, make sure you just write that down. Check on Google page speed insights just whenever you do get a chance. And number 5, your website has to be mobile friendly. So the statistic right now is about 68% of websites visits globally come from mobile devices. So usually the rule of thumb I say is 60 to 70%, because that's what we typically see for any of the shops that we run. And so obviously that's a very high percentage, and thus why the importance of it being mobile friendly. If you don't have a good user experience on mobile, you're missing a great audience that you could be capturing. Usually it's on that audience is going to be on the younger side of the demographic, but those are people that can stay with you as a client for a really long time. So it's a very important audience capture that you cannot take for granted. If your website is not mobile friendly, it affects your rank. And on top of that, your conversions as well. Exactly. And so in terms of if it's not loading well, then your website won't rank well. And then even if they do get to the website, but it's just a clunky website, they can't figure out maybe where to type in your phone number, or you can't just tap on the phone number, or you can't just tap on the address to get into the directions of maps. That's just potentially a missed opportunity. People can just get frustrated and I don't want to scroll back and forth, and just skip and go to the next shop that's on the list. I mean, if they're more mobile friendly, it's a high chance that they'll get the conversion rather than your website, just because of something super minor that could be fixed. And you want to make sure that every once in a while you're just checking that your website loads properly on your phone. I say it was once a month, just type in your own website, make sure it's loading smooth. There's nothing that's overlapping, that there's word text errors, things like that. Just again, making sure that everything is run efficiently on the phone. And I'll stop right there. And maybe before I go into the next little bit, does anyone have any questions up to this point? I'm happy to answer those, go back into digging a little bit deeper on any of these things that we talked about. So feel free to shoot that in the chat if you do have any of those questions. If not, I'll just go ahead and keep going. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and keep going, and feel free, again, if anyone has any questions, I'll try to jump in and answer those as I do see them. So what else has changed? Old-fashioned SEO is no longer effective. There's been a bunch of different algorithm updates throughout the years, but now really the big focus for Google's algorithm, the new SEO approach, is focused on the user experience. Google wants to make sure that it sees that people are staying on websites longer, or you're getting that phone call click there. You're getting that conversion, because now Google sees that your website, your business, is a useful business for them to place highly on their platform. And majority of any online leads are coming from Google. So it's really important to understand what they have going on, and making sure that your online presence is run efficiently and tied cohesively with what their algorithm is doing. So what are the new ranking factors? And so in terms of optimization, CTR is key. So CTR just stands for click-through rate. And so it wants to see that both you are a user, when it gets to your page, is going through multiple pages on there, or it's seeing that it clicked on the phone number. It's good. Google can analyze all of those things if you tied it to the website correctly. And so you want to make sure that those things are tied, that Google understands that, because the more conversions that it understands, the more highly that you will rank. Scroll rate. That's just, I mean, like I mentioned, people just scrolling through the website, and the longer they scroll, the longer they stay on the page. And the stickier your website is, the higher and more relevantly you'll rank. So time, and again, time on page is a big deal. Bounce rate, kind of that's the inverse of the time on the page. It's something you want to watch closely. You want to make sure that a bounce rate is consistent of if someone goes onto your website and leaves within 5 seconds. And so you want to make sure that the bounce rate is pretty low. The big reason a high bounce rate would typically occur is due to the speed of a website. And so that's where you want to make sure your website is loading very quickly, and that they're getting effective information immediately, or your headers have the maybe reviews, the phone number, the address, everything on the very top, or they can instantly get that information. Because if not, people are leaving a website, and you don't want them to do that. It hurts your rank at the end of the day too. And then number of citations, reviews, relevant links, all those things. In terms of citations and links, those are typically on the off-site SEO side of things, and you want to make sure that those are happening regularly, because if not, Google does have a recency bias within their algorithm, and if it sees that there's not many links and things going on, it kind of caps you on where you can rank. So that way, if other people start to do it, you only will go down. There's no way to work your way back up if you're not doing any of kind of that relevant work in Google's eyes. And lastly, yeah, page speed, like we mentioned, is a very big factor in terms of it affecting directly with bounce rate, time on page, scroll rate, click-through rate, all those things. All right, and so within the formula, you want to make sure that you figure out what the most important keywords are based on your service area. And so one of the best tools that you can use is Google keyword tool itself. You can type that in, and then there are different versions of different words that you'll be able to type in related to your city. You can limit the parameters to your city, because not necessarily will auto repair or mechanic always be the best one in your given city. Typically it'll be some version of that word, but you want to know the exact version, the exact phrasing that is the best one, and will have the most amount of searches. So that way you can make sure that's layered throughout your website correctly. It's layered in your Google business profile, things like that. But some of the other ones is WordStream. In Google AdWords, it has a really good tool as well in order to figure out what the right keywords are in terms of how many times they're being searched per month. You can even see in Google AdWords what people are bidding on average, what the cost per click is. And that way to give you an idea of if the cost per click is pretty high, there's a reason why the cost per click is high, because people have found that that converts well into a high ARO ticket that comes in through the door. That's the only reason why people would hike up the price in certain keywords. So understanding what those words are and ranking well for it organically can only help you. That way you don't have that incessant need to have to spend money on AdWords in order to rank well for certain things. And then you want to set up a great website with unique pages targeting those keywords. And so as you can see here, this is a lot related to the on-site portion of it. So with a lot of websites, people will typically have, or shops will typically have they'll have services. It'll just be one page where they just kind of bullet point and list all their different services that they offer. And that's great. It shows customers when they get there what you do, but it doesn't really help Google as much. You typically want to have unique pages for each different keyword that's at least pretty big. So for example, you want a page for brake repair itself, you want a page for oil changes itself, you want a page for suspension. So each of those kind of big services, you want a page standing on its own, because then that'll hold more clout with Google when someone is typing in Google for that particular service. So if you just kind of have a general service page, it will not rank as well if you have one unique one that has the content. Usually around 500 words is a good amount on service pages itself. And so that's kind of what you would want to shoot for on those things. And on top of that, if you're a shop that has multiple locations, but you have only one website for those multiple locations, you want to make sure there is at least a location page for that represents each of the places that you are. You cannot just throw in a bunch of cities onto the homepage and hope that works. So that it won't. It won't work as effectively. And so you want to make sure that if you're in multiple locations with different city names, you have a location page that just then breaks down that maybe that suburb that you're in, that just says auto repair in XYZ, and this general information about how you serve that area. But that will really help with Google understanding that, yes, they have a whole page dedicated to the city. We should be ranking them relevantly for the city as well. Optimize your website for user experience. So that's in regards to making sure that the phone numbers are clickable, addresses is easy accessible, a link to reviews, just so that way it's a way that the customer can keep staying on the website, and then hopefully then converting and clicking on that phone number, or filling out a form. And yeah, optimizing your site for SEO and on-site optimization. So there's a lot of technicality that can happen there with things like schema and just helping things in the background of the website and Google being able to read it a lot easier. And so doing those elements, I mean, that part is a little bit more technical, so you most likely will need another company to come in and help with that element, but it is an important factor in regards to SEO. And then you want to make sure that you build authority with the offsite stuff. So all those, the citations, the backlinks, the linking that does take place outside of the website itself, but still SEO related and still very, very important. And you want to track your results. You want to make sure, even if you have another company that's running some of these things for you, you want to make sure that there's a way to track and see how things are performing. You want to see how certain keywords are ranking. You want to make sure that, traffic is being driven, calls are going up and related to how many times they clicked on the Google Business Profile and they called you, how many times they asked for directions. You want to make sure you understand all that data to make sure that there is progress and that it is directly correlating to how your rev, your ARO, your car count is improving. Because at the end of the day, that's what should be taking place when SEO is done correctly. So takeaway so far, is there anything that you've noticed, that you've learned, that you would like to share? I'm happy to hear any sort of thoughts that anyone has so far, or any questions that you have. I can dig in a little bit deeper. Great stuff. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, good. Yeah, some people have found this really helpful in terms of the SEO aspect of it. I know it's very different in terms of hearing some of this stuff. There's quite a bit that does go into it, but it will make a big difference in terms of how your website will rank at the end of the day. And the most important thing, how people come to your shop, because they're finding you through Google properly. And so I want to walk you through a few more live examples of some of the shops that we help run, and how what we have done has helped them rank both well in the maps along with well organically. So typically what you'll see is the highest ranking organic website within actual shops. So I mean, you'll see Yelp and things thrown in there, but that is obviously just a list of directories, a directory listing with other shops on it. So when you see actual shops and their websites, the higher they rank consistently, the more consistent they'll be in the top 3 of the maps. So here you see Lend for Auto ranking well #1 for their website for transmission shop, and then here you see they're ranking #1 for transmission shop as well. And then they have a service labeled for transmission shop, so that way whenever that gets typed in, it directly ties to their shop. You want to make sure that you are listing those things down if transmission repair is something that you are performing for your shop. Here. So then another example, they had another location. That one was in Lino Lakes. This one is in Wyoming of Minnesota. And so I did just brake repair in this area. And here you see again, we have their listing here in the top listing in the website for brake repair. And then lastly, we have another one here in Austin. Austin is obviously a very big area, and so I had to type in it by zip code just to see how someone is performing just within the zip itself. And here you see what one of our clients ranking at the very top, just for a general keyword like auto repair, getting a lot of search volume. So just by applying some of these tactics, I want to be able to display how that works and really will help you rank in that top spot. And by being in the top spot and then having the social clout behind the reviews that are coming in at a high rating, that all in turn really helps build trust for the customer and will get you a lot more calls at the end of the day. And so yeah, just to sort of recap a little bit here, I'll kind of cover what we talked about today, and that way you can hopefully have gotten a good amount of value out of this. And so on-site optimization will be a strong website, a good content and user experience. So that's going to be the UXO and SEO kind of together. Leveraging multimedia to improve on-page time. Make sure you have pages for each of your services. You want to make sure that that is all listed out as specifically as you can, but obviously you do not want to get too granular on that. If you something more granular, you turn that into a blog post. That could be really effective in that end. But your primary service pages should be the go-to labelings that you would have in your repair orders. That is very easy to understand. Pages for cities, if you have multiple cities that you have locations for. You want to make sure that there's always unique content. You do not want things copy and pasted over. Maybe you're using a marketing company and you want to make sure that there's unique content versus some of the other ones that they are managing, but because having very similar content will not help with Google. It wants to see uniqueness derived from your site. Yeah, unique content every page. You want the keyword to be in the title and the H1 tag. So that's the title is the kind of the big header that's on the top of the page, and the H1 is kind of that semi header that kind of leads into that initial paragraph on a page. So you want to make sure those two are going after the same keyword, because then it will again help with Google's algorithm reading and understanding better what you're trying to accomplish within a given page. And a meta description that sells the click. So the meta description is within the Google listing of the website. You'll see that page title tag, and then there's a little description of what a website is. So you want to make sure that meta description is something that promotes the business, promotes them coming in. Name, address, phone number in the footer of your website. You want to make sure it's very, like, some people forget to also have a footer portion where they can easily contact you, because if someone scrolls to the bottom of the page, you do not want them to have to scroll all the way back up to the top in order to give you a call. You want that also to be very accessible right there. Also, if you're able to have the header move down as they're scrolling, that way, again, it's always accessible once they decide to give you a call. And then you want to make a blog. Blogging does not have to be every week or anything like that, where you have constant content in there, but it definitely helps within Google to have more content. It allows you to build more pages, but it helps Google understand that there's kind of a mastery behind what you are doing. So building a blog helps build that trust with Google, and then it helps build that trust with customers as well. And it helps go after more specific long tail keywords. And so building those blogs can only benefit what you are doing. Like I mentioned, you want to focus on page speed for desktop and mobile, very important. All right. So now we have here a list of money auto repair keywords here. So feel free to screenshot this and take this down, but I'll kind of just run down just quickly some of these words that you'll typically see have the most search volume in your given city. So some will be without the city itself. And so here you'll see auto repair shop, car repair shop, mechanic. So you can see how these are all very similar, but these will all have different search volumes based on the city that you're in. But these are typically what we've seen as the most popular within a given city. And then at times there's also search volume with a word plus the city name. So just people will type in the city that they're in within search types. It usually will not be quite as high as it just being kind of naked without the city. And so, but you want to make sure that you are putting in keywords that has auto repair and the city that you're based in. And then also, last, you do not want to forget the near me's. Near me is a very popular search type. And so you want to make sure that you're always including the near me when you can in certain keywords as you're placing it within page titles, descriptions, things of that sort. So, all right. So yeah, feel free to screenshot this and making sure that some of these keywords are applied within the content of your website. It's a good double check. And then you want to make sure then some of these service types are also listed within your Google Business Profile, especially if there's certain things that you do offer and you don't see it listed. I would highly recommend adding it to your Google Business Profile, because if you don't have it there, Google will never know. And so you want to make sure that you do make sure that you have all those relevant service types listed in your Google Business Profile. And off-page SEO, I know we went into a little bit. That's going to be a lot of the linking, the citations and links, as just a quick review for you. So claim and optimize Google Business Profile listing, build up online reviews. That's going to be a good way. The best mechanism that we've seen to use is text messages. It is a service that we do service with our clients, but regardless of if you use our service or not, I would highly recommend finding a way to at least use text messages for the purpose of checking on customer satisfaction after they come in, having them rate you 1 to 5, and then that way when they are happy, you can send a link that then they can tap on their phone, easily leave a review, because that is going to be the strongest way to consistently get reviews. People can easily opt out of these text messages just by replying stop and things like that. But and I know some people are just, oh, I don't want to bother them with a text message, but if you don't ask, you cannot receive. And so you want to make sure that there's a mechanism where you're at least gauging first how satisfied they are. And typically, if you're a very well-run shop, those replies will come in spades in terms of 5, absolutely, you're amazing, things like that. And then you just have a quick automation text behind that just then says, great, thank you so much. If you wouldn't mind, please leave us a review. And more than likely they're happy to, especially when they're already really happy. Building authoritative links back to your website from other websites, like I mentioned, very, very important. They can be tricky to find and get, but usually there's a process there that you reach out to certain different type of pages. Maybe it's a local directory in your community that you want to get in on. They write some articles, things like that. Reach out to them, see what that sort of looks like. But there's a lot of ways that you can get links for free. And so digging in there and making sure that then there can be relevance that gets built back to your site. Strategic content I'll get into that here a little bit more as a little bonus ad of what that sort of means. It's going to be a little bit technical, but in terms of there is a strategy behind how you can layer in the content to help it rank better for certain words. And so I'll stop there again. Oh, looks like we do have a question. Keywords you're using, you're not seeing the designate between domestic and import. Why? Yeah, and so within the keywords that we had listed there, I'll go back real quick. So these are primarily the most popular ones that we've seen within a general shop. And so if you are a more niche related shop that focuses, say, on import service, you would then want to have repair types that are related to the vehicles that you are servicing, because that will be the most directly related to your business. So let's say you do your European auto repair shop, you want to make sure that you have BMW repair, you have Audi repair, you have Mercedes repair, things along those lines, in terms of making sure you have that information element. And then you want to, even when it gets to being a Mercedes brake repair, you would have the car type in front or behind the keyword, and that is what would build the relevancy within your website. So that is a great question. So thank you for asking that. Do we have any other questions before we sort of wrap up on the tail end here and digging a little bit deeper on the content side of things? No one needs to be shy. You feel free to really ask anything. We can walk through that here with you. But okay, yeah. If any questions, again, please, you can just throw it in the chat. So to introduce as a new authority signal generation approach, and that approach, that acronym is called EAT. And so EAT. And so it's a cutting edge content marketing platform for authority signal generation. So EAT can be broken up into kind of these elements. The first, the E stands for expertise. So the quality, structure, and media rich content. So within your content, you don't want it to be very generic when it comes to, especially like a blog post. You want to make sure that you are showing mastery and expertise behind the content that you are writing, especially in certain cases where you are a shop that focuses just on imports. You want to make sure that within the blog that you are focusing just on those elements, and on certain things that just an average person would not typically know. But then that way it just shows that clout and expertise behind what's there. Authority. So authority means just is published on some of the bigger websites like ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC. There are certain ways that you can get mini articles placed on that, but then when articles are placed there, it helps build strong authority behind the article itself. And then trust, that's just based on other websites now linking to your blog, because now they found that blog super valuable, and they on their websites they're linking to a blog post, and that helps build implied trust within Google's algorithm. This is sort of the SEO periodic table for any of you that are interested in it, just kind of breaking down how you look at content, the architecture, the kind of the codes and the trust, things like that, of what that sort of looks like, that goes into some of the SEO. So there's a fair amount that goes into it, but hopefully I tried my best today to make that as simplified as possible. So that way, at least, even if you're not planning on doing this yourself, you at least have kind of the ammo behind yourself to ask the right questions to ensure that the company that's running it for you is taking the right approach to doing certain things, and then it's reflecting in how your rankings are performing. And special local SEO ranking factors. So ranking locally, as you know, is very, very important. And so within Google's algorithm, it does have three main points for ranking locally. So proximity, location is very big. And so within a close proximity to your shop, you want to be ranking really well. If you're curious on how you're ranking on that end, I can do a free analysis for you just to see how you're performing in the maps in terms of, like, if say someone was standing a mile away from your shop to the northeast of your shop, and they type in auto repair on their phone, where are you ranking on the maps on average? We can easily look that up through a software we use called Local Viking. But that way you can see how that's performing, because the closer you are to the shop, the stronger you should be ranking. If you're not ranking well close to your shop, you're definitely not going to be ranking well far away from your shop. So you want to really be able to hone down on that local SEO. Relevance, how relevant is the search term to your business? So you want to make sure that if it is a certain service type that you do perform, that you have that on your Google business profile. That way Google knows it's a relevant thing that you should be ranking for. And then prominence, the authority behind the content that's produced on your website. The longer that people are staying on there, finding your information valuable, the more links pointing to your website helps build that prominence and authority that will then help you rank locally, both organically and in the maps. Okay. So this is kind of a breakdown of all these elements of on-page, Google Business Profile, ongoing content, signals, leveraged. Just so that you get an idea, we kind of went over all of it, so I don't want to regurgitate the same thing over and over for you. But these are just kind of the big things to look at here in terms of SEO. So again, just to do a quick recap for you. So setting up a great website with the pages of your services and the cities that you serve. Make sure that you have that. I think the biggest one to probably look at is going to be your services. I'm guessing there's a lot of, I've gone through a lot of websites and there's a lot of shops that just have a service page that has just bullet points there. Or even if they don't even have that, they have the bullet points listed on their homepage. Try not to do that. You definitely want to build out at least 5 to 10 services that you do, that you regularly offer, that has a specific page on its own. And I promise that it will help you rank stronger than what you've done in the past for that service alone. And then making sure that you add that to your Google Business Profile if it's not already there. And making sure that then the keywords on that service page is layered in correctly. You want it to be listed in there 3 to 5 times, not too many, but making sure that it is also featured in the title of the page, whatever the keyword is. Use unique content. Do not go onto a competitor's website and just copy and paste if they have it. Do not do that. It'll they'll make them very angry, but it won't help you rank at all. And so you want to make sure that you're creating unique content for each and every page that you are doing. Leverage multimedia to enhance time on the page and reduce bounce rates of multimedia, like videos. If you have video content that you already have, put that on the website. And there's ways to efficiently put that on the website so it doesn't slow down the speed. But it only helps. And guess what? Google owns YouTube. And so by putting a video that's embedded with YouTube, it'll help you perform better because now you're using another one of Google's products. And so that's another thing that can help assist your rankings. Get online reviews across the web, primarily focus on Google. Obviously, there's other platforms that you can get reviews. At the end of the day, Google is going to be the most important. That's going to be where the most people search, the most leads can generate and possibly come from. So that's where you typically want to feed all your customers to leave reviews there. Build your citations consistently, post updated content on a regular, ongoing basis, both blogs and Google Business Profile, regularly building those links. And that lastly, if you want to be able to, I would leverage paid search if you do have that budget available within AdWords, because that puts you straight to the top of a search type. And again, SEO is not an overnight thing. It does take a little bit of time. So if you don't have any of these things implemented before, it's going to take you time to rank better there. And so to get some immediate results and some immediate cards coming through, you will need to invest in AdWords. And there's certain ways that in a future webinar, I'll dig into how to layer out the Google Ads correctly and efficiently to get you the best chance of getting a strong ROI. There's quite a bit that goes into it, but I'll be able to give you kind of that general layout of what that typically should look like. Or if you don't want to do it, you can just hire us to do it. But we also have an SEO checklist here. If you go to this website, www.go.liftautorepairmarketing.com/marketing checklist, there's a free download checklist here with some of the elements that we've gone over today in order for you to have something that you can physically check off. It's usually a little bit easier to see in that form when you have something physical. And so that way, with this, you'll be able to go through the website and certain elements, making sure, yep, that's there, that's there, that's there. That will set you up in the best way possible to have your website rank. So again, yeah, if you are needing any help, just post "Let's talk" in the comments. Feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. You can reach out to our phone number here, which I'll have. What we're also offering is a free review of your SEO rank in a website scan. So we'll both run page speed. We'll see how you're ranking for keywords. We'll see how you're ranking in the maps, doing kind of a GeoGrid. We'll kind of have a baseline breakdown report of how you're doing and what elements can be improved upon. Even without our help, I'll be able to give you kind of those steps of what should be taking place to help you get that better ranking. And so please, if you are interested in getting that free review, please feel free to reach out to me both in the comments here or directly through Facebook Messenger through our phone number on our website. So yeah, you just call 877-733-3446 for that free SEO review. And so these are some of the things that are going to go into it. Also analyzing your social presence, the reviews, how to get more of those, website conversion effectiveness, and a lot of the elements that we talked about today, but then how that with our team's eyeballs on it, really seeing how a custom plan could be built for you to help you then rank better. So yeah, so that's kind of all I have today. Hopefully you found this webinar valuable. If you want to schedule a direct strategy session with me, feel free to go to liftautorepairmarketing.com/schedule, or again, you can give us a call here. You can message me on Facebook. I'm pretty active on there, as well as in our Facebook group. If you haven't joined, it's Auto Repair Shop Owners Mastermind, and it's a group run by our company but has well over 500 shop owners now, that we just everyone cohesively tries to help each other and what's going on in this day and age. We help throw in different tidbits and strategies on the marketing end of things, since that is our expertise, but on other things regarding shop culture, and we have people on our podcast that can help bring up some of those valuable information for you that we throw in there as well. And so yeah, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer those now, but if not, thank you so much for taking the time to jump on with me today, and I hope to speak with you all soon.